Radio for Skaro.
Everyone, welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 711. 711, how about that? I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Ottawa.
And Chris in Edmonton.
Warren, everyone's all over the place again. Warren, you're in Ottawa for like a Bookie-Wook convention or something, aren't you?
I sure am. It's called CanCon, and so far it's pretty good.
Oh, good. What happens at CanCon?
A bunch of authors and other writerly types get together and discuss the craft and so forth.
The craft of what? Reading books?
Yes, the craft of reading books.
Well, they discuss...
Actually, we plot against ignoramuses like yourself who hate books.
No, they discuss The Craft, the movie.
Yes, that's all we do for 3 days. We talk about The Craft and the nascent remake of The Craft.
Oh, is there a remake?
I myself am leading a panel on Fruza Bulk. I am not doing any such thing.
Oh, don't tease me like that, Warren, and then don't go through it.
I am also on Team Bulk, my friend.
I don't bulk at bulk. Baseball reference, World Series. This episode here features our eighth of 11 commentaries for Series 11. Joy Piedmont is on board here for the Witchfinders commentary, recorded during the Summer of Joy when she was on every single podcast ever made. Before she went off and started her own podcast, that being 5 Years Rapid, which she does with Kyle Anderson, talking about their third Doctor era. One story per month, because that's the way you do it now. Because, we don't... only idiots do weekly podcasts now for 13 plus years. Now, the kids these days are doing one a month because they're too lazy. Let me tell you.
And they're on your lawn as well, I believe.
Yes. If I had a lawn...
Not since you shooed them away.
Yeah. Shooed them like common pigeons. Joy, by the way, of course, is one of the people spearheading the Who for Schools initiative, about which we talked last week. Well, let me tell you, folks, in addition to all the other commentaries that have been recorded that we aren't allowed to tell you who's on them, I have no idea if we are or not. I'm just erring on the side of caution. Well, Sophie Aldred's now doing a commentary as well, which is amazing because, as you know, she appeared as the character Ace in those stories in season 26. So she'll be doing a commentary in support of Who for Schools. So how about that? They're recording that, and that'll be part of the block. So go to realitybombpodcast.com/Who for Schools. Find out more details about it. Help donate to a school charity of your choice. Send the receipts in. Get the commentaries when they all come out. I have to think the commentaries are coming out like fairly quickly, like next week or something like that. October 21st rings a bell for some reason. I don't know, but anyway. It's all good. I also mentioned John Pertwee in there, the Season 10 Doctor Who Blu-ray, or for us, John Pertwee Season 4 Blu-ray. Finally came out in North America. I received mine. Chris, did you pre-order yours too? Did you get it at all? You did? Yeah?
Yeah, it arrived while I was in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet you the plastic's still on it, isn't it?
Except for the part that wasn't sealed when I got it. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, along the bottom edge it wasn't sealed. You were complaining, Stephen, about the packaging itself.
Well, yeah, a little bit. I mean, not as much as I know Graham Burke of Reality Bomb and Who for Schools was complaining on Twitter about it, because it's like, the previous 3 that have come out here have been like, a little book-ish kind of like cardboard case with a spine on it and stuff, and a little fold out, and there's discs in there. Well, there's only 6 discs in the season 10 set because there's only 5 stories and then 1 bonus disc. So they've put it in a case that's the size of a standard Blu-ray case with no like cardboard backing at all. It's this tiny little thing. There's a whole season of Doctor Who on this thin little case. So we don't get a book. Like, the pictures that you've seen, and you indeed can see on the show notes there at radiofreescar.com. We don't have the book. We don't have the pictures or anything like that. We just sort of have, here's a case. It's got 6 discs in it, and do with that what you will. So for those of you who are casists, then this will probably upset
Cases,
you.
you say?
Yes.
That would be you, in fact.
No, I don't think it would be, actually. I am looking forward to the day, and it's coming, folks, where I can probably fit all of my Doctor Who on Blu-ray onto like 2 shelves, basically, on my IKEA 60-centimeter wide shelf. 2 shelves. That's it. It's exciting.
And if you
I don't share your excitement. I don't care about collecting like you do.
I know you don't.
dollies.
And if you put it all on a hard drive or 2, then probably within like 6 inches. But
Yeah, but I have thought about that. But then you know what? I need to rip the things at a high enough quality that I can see the proper vid firing on there. You know, I want my videotape. I don't want to have it like, it's slightly dumbed down or something on an AVI file or something like that. So what's the point? I'll just leave it on the discs.
for what it's worth, just before we started recording, I checked Amazon, and there's still no season 26 pre-order available.
That's upsetting to me. Season 23 just came out, and I'm like, trying to avoid bits of it because everyone's kind of started talking about it a little bit on Twitter and stuff, and doesn't come out in here until early December. So, no, I'm happy to buy these. Because they're good. I mean, we've spoken about this often on this podcast, but about just the love and care that people who make Doctor Who, and people who are big fans of it, like, make these things, and I'm happy and thrilled enough to say that some of those very same people have sort of become friends of ours, or at the very least acquaintances who we see once a year at Gallifrey 1.
People that know we exist.
People that know we exist. And you know what? When you actually see and meet the people who are doing these things, thinking, yes, I will chuck $41 Canadian your way. I imagine you'll probably get about 5 cents of that worth, perhaps. Maybe not. I don't know how royalties work for people who actually work on these things, but anyway, it's a fun set. I've only dug into it a little bit. I watched the great documentary, Doctor Who and the Third Man, a 90-minute doc about the whole John Pertwee era, which never really showed up on any of the original DVDs. So Ed Stradling and Matthew Sweet made a new one. It's almost like all like Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat talking about Doctor Who, which I would watch. I'd watch a whole series of that. I just like Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss talk about each era of Doctor Who, and that would be enough to be a whole long-running series for future DVDs, or future Blu-rays rather. But
so they need a podcast.
I said that. I said that on Twitter. I said they should do a podcast together, because what else are they doing? I think they've finished shooting Dracula.
Yeah,
finished Dracula.
Wasting everyone's time.
Dracula's in the promotional phase these days.
Yeah, I mean, unless Stephen Moffat's getting dragged back to make Doctor Who next year, perhaps. Have you heard that rumor yet? Let's make that one a thing. Maybe.
Is that actually a rumor, or you just make that up?
I just made it up right now, but
Thank God, because that's dumb.
He's casting David Tennant, oddly enough, as Doctor Who.
Of course he is, and Rose is back too.
Yep.
Basically, they're just going to rename the show Doctor Ship, and it'll be all ships.
Doctors.
Which, isn't all bad.
Billy Piper left Doctor Who as a regular character 13 years ago now. Mm-hmm. 13 years ago. Just saying. That's a long time.
That's madness.
That's a long time ago. Anyway, season 10 set is out there. I've got 4 of them now. 10, 12, 18, 19. I'm liking the trend of this. I'm liking where it's going. I'm liking that they're doing more of them, because I'm eagerly awaiting each one.
With each one, you can complain more about how we haven't got it yet.
Yeah, well, the content's great. It's just the North American packaging just feels like, how can we make
distribution?
This
Neither of which is the fault of the creators.
Well, is it?
I doubt it.
No, 100% isn't. Doctor Who magazine has celebrated its 40th anniversary. 40 years. Insane. The 40th anniversary edition came out. Has a whole bunch of stuff looking at different, the past editors and stuff, and all sorts of different things. There's Paul Cornell has a very lovely tribute to Terrence Dicks. There's a previously unpublished interview with Terrence Dicks in there, the audio of which I don't remember where the link is, so I'll just use this as a way to plug Paul Cornell's email newsletter, because he linked to it in there. That's where I saw it this morning on the Friday here as we record this. There's a link to the original audio. I think it's from 2003. It's something about the 40th anniversary of of Doctor Who, and I think it's from 2003 with Terrence Dicks. So, unheard interview is right there. What excites me most about the 40th anniversary edition of Doctor Who magazine is that there's finally an index to where all the various features, like the fact of fiction and all the other various feature items, the long-running features that have occurred in the magazine, there you can finally find which stories fit in where. Because whenever we do like a mini scope or something like that, and I want to look up stuff, like I have no idea where any of these are, and Google is sometimes not your friend. So finally, at long last,
That must have taken a staggering amount of work.
possibly, yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably. I think I might actually make a spreadsheet because it's probably not easy enough yet for me to look at it. So I kind of want it in a spreadsheet form. So maybe I'll make that public too. I'm not too sure. I don't have a boring office job anymore, so I can't do these things when I'm supposed to be at work. So,
I mean, that's when you should be doing it, when you're supposed to be at work.
exactly. So Warren, you're the only one of us with a boring office job now. Can you maybe hit that up? I know you love spreadsheets and planning and stuff.
No, I hate spreadsheets. I have written the odd fanzine article at work. Not that anybody at work is listening, I hope.
No. Yeah, which one is that? It was a Star Trek one, wasn't it, Warren? Have we talked about that here?
No, it was not. No, nothing like that ever happened. In fact, I'm lying through my mouth.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've given you a chance to plug a thing you wrote for StarTrek.com, and you.
Oh no, that I never wrote. No, that I wrote that at home. That required extensive research.
Oh, okay.
Whereas the fanzine thing, I wrote literally a half hour at lunch. And it was just a thing about, if you want to hear it, look for the latest episode or latest issue of Lulzine, put up by my friends Spanish Riff and John Coxon, and it's about the frantics and the Royal Canadian Air Force. Some Canadian content radio for you.
Wow.
So it was really easy to just whip that off in a half hour or so.
I see. No, I'm talking about the Star Trek thing. It was for StarTrek.com. You did a thing for
yes.
StarTrek.com.
Yes,
For
I
crying
did a
out
thing
loud.
called Infinite Jests and Infinite Combinations. It's a catalog of some, not all obviously, but some of the spoofs of Star Trek that have come along throughout the years. However, they did not include my extensive Wayne and Schuster entry. So if you want that, please, because the American audience couldn't care less. And they're not 100 years old. So if you are 100 years old and Canadian, please contact me via RFS, and I can send you that part of the article.
I think you should tweet it out. I think you should tweet out your Wayne and Schuster bit as a tweet thread or something like that.
Well, what I could do is it's in 5 parts on YouTube, like the whole skit, which is like a half hour. So I could do it in parts. I could separate it into chunks and then have each chunk go with each video thing. Maybe I will do that just so that people can experience the glory that is Wayne and Schuster.
Or just a blog post on the RFS site.
You could do that too.
I could do both.
That seems easier.
Why not do both?
Yeah.
You don't understand how social media works, Chris. First, you act like a jerk, and then people get mad, and then you create a hashtag. That's how it works.
I guess that's how it works.
Yeah.
I love that we have planning meetings as episodes of this podcast. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Also coming from it's out now actually from Doctor Who magazine, the 12th Doctor, the Doctor Who companion. They're looking at the 12th Doctor era. I have to admit, I don't think I bought these before. These two, the ones for the 12th Doctor, which I have yet to read them. I just thought this sounds like another research tool. It's basically what it is. The volume 2, which just came out, is an in-depth chronicle into series 8, Peter Capaldi's first series. And like the first volume was just the first 4 episodes, and volume 2 is the next 4 episodes, which is like, this sounds like the deep dive type of stuff that I am all there for, because if there's one thing that you get the Doctor Who confidentials and everything, but then you don't get the Richard Bignell inspired Andrew Pixley kind of things that you see about classic Doctor Who. So I feel like these are kind of those for the new series. So I bought both of them, $10 Canadian a piece, and they look like they're worth it. So it's out now. It's out now if you want to have a look as we continue to shill for Doctor Who magazine, just in case they get axed in their 40th year. Probably.
Man, that took a turn.
I know. Probably won't happen. Actually, it's funny. I remember hearing Clayton Hickman say that I think that he was thinking they were probably maybe about 6 months away from coming to a natural close when Doctor Who was announced that they're coming back in 2003. Like,
that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, like thinking, we pretty much run everything dry. But then, in recent months, as the publicity shy Chris Chibnall era has sort of been like vacant from the pages of Doctor Who magazine, they managed to find more stuff about classic Doctor Who to talk about. So they have stories for years. Doctor Who magazine. Pulp Librarian is a Twitter account which occasionally will just sort of post up, amusing-ish kind of pulp fiction covers and stuff from years gone by, from the 50s and 60s and such. Well, recently they did a big deep dive on the Virgin New Adventures, big, huge Twitter thread of various stuff basically from the end of the classic series through the theme park years, as the aforementioned Paul Cornell has called them, with a whole host of different New Adventure title covers and all the way up until the very end of them, which is pretty cool. Nice little trip through memory lane, though. I recognize all of those covers as books that I bought and then put on my shelf because they had a Doctor Who logo on them.
The Steven Shabatsky story. Books that I bought, then put on my shelf.
Yeah, Chris, do you still have all your New Adventures?
Yeah, I'm sitting about 5 feet away from them right now.
Really? Wow. Mm-hmm. How many you got? Like I stopped around.
Man, I don't know.
Oof. Yeah.
However wide an IKEA Billy bookcase is.
Right.
There's I've got one full shelf there, and then I've got a framed print I've yet to hang, leaning up against the bookshelf, obscuring the next shelf. So I don't know, 1.5 or 2 Billy bookshelf widths at least.
Right. Wow. Impressive. Yeah, I gave mine away a while ago, but it's cool. It's cool looking through all the stuff in the 90s and the various promotional shoots. There's a few shots of Sophie Aldred, like the one wielding a gun with like the leather top on, which I'm not too sure what's from, but I imagine is a lot. There are large portions of Doctor Who fandom that are a fan of that one. Anyway, it's good. It's a good
Wish
little
fulfillment, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, by comparison, I've got a fairly complete. I think I'm missing maybe 1 or 2 Target books from the classic series, and they take up just over 2 Billy bookshelf widths, start to finish, for 26 years. So,
are you going to get the 2 Sabered ones, the Dalek ones?
Haven't yet. Kat bought all the other ones, like Rose and Twice Upon a Time, etc.
Right.
Those look like, that's the problem with the 2 Sabered ones. They have those weird covers that don't match the other covers. So this is where I get all wound up.
They're only out in hardback anyway right now, so I think when they're in paperback, maybe.
Yeah, because they have a slight looking retro stuff. But no, you're right, Warren. The Dalek one, the Dalek ones. Hopefully, they'll come out with. Maybe they're not allowed to put the image of a Dalek on.
Yeah, I don't know. It just looks like any old book. Like,
yeah, I know. When they first announced the artwork for those 2 Sabered ones, I'm thinking, so this is temp or is it official or what's going on? Okay, it's official, I guess. That's weird. It's just sort of what it looks like, if memory serves. It's kind of like, the new BBC logo at the front of stuff, like the little sparkly kind of spiralogram or something.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Exactly what it looks like.
I doubt that's in any way calculated, but.
Or is it, Warren?
Or is it? Am I Banksy?
Probably not. Is it? Yeah, I recognize that from a Doctor episode. This is so I haven't watched this one yet, sadly, but Dalek 63 to 88 is what the YouTube account is. Gav R something on Mind Robber. Sorry, the Mind Robber on Twitter is behind it too. But they were responsible for the superb Terry Nation Army series about like looking at movie Daleks and the history of, like, oh my god, if you haven't seen them, go to YouTube. Dalek 63 to 88 is the YouTube channel. Those 6 episodes on movie Daleks and where they came from is just mind-boggling. It's amazing stuff. Well, they've done a new special episode about the abandoned mechanoid designs and deleted robots from the chase. I have yet to watch it, but I know for sure that there's going to be some crazy deep dives into that. Have either of you managed to watch this yet?
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay.
This is the first I've heard of it, actually.
Well, it's good. They're good stuff. So, as 872 people have hit the like button, the thumbs up on the YouTube page. So that's a good enough endorsement for me. It's so good. I can't wait to watch this, which I will do once we're done recording. Hey everyone, are you in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on Friday the 25th of October? Well, let me tell you. At the Natural History Museum, there is a free evening of Doctor Who themed events that you can go along to and have fun. Like take your photo with the TARDIS, and there's like little pop-up science stations, and you can watch the episode Smith and Jones, which apparently was shot somewhere near there. I'm not too sure, but there's also some Doctor Who special effects artists and stuff. There's a Lego thing, so I would be there if I wasn't on the other side of the Atlantic. A whole host of stuff at the Natural History Museum. As I said, for free. You could do this next weekend, Friday.
Yep.
So be there. Did you ever go to that museum, Chris, when you were in London? I don't think I ever did. Did you?
Oh yeah, tons of times. The Science Museum also, when I lived there, ran some Lates events as well. Went to many of those and usually partook in the pub quiz.
Oh,
is the Natural History Museum the one that used to, until recently, have that giant dinosaur exhibition? Yes. Not exhibition, but right in the front.
Yep.
Oh, were they dinosaurs alive or were they dead?
They were dead.
Okay.
Yep.
Or were they?
I don't know.
It was replaced by a whale.
A whale? Interesting.
Why'd they get rid of the dinosaur? Quickly, answer for Britain, Chris.
Google it.
Yeah.
Why
okay.
did they? Oh, is that a
good answer?
Is that a reference? I don't get it. Anyway, that's happening. And also, when I saw Natural History Museum Lates, I thought it said lattes, and I still think it says lattes.
You really get a latte there. The best thing about the Lates things in general, assuming this is like the Science Museum ones were, it's 18 plus only, so no children.
Whoa, even better.
And they'll open up little ad hoc bars, so you can just buy a beer or a glass of wine or whatever and walk around the museum getting pissed.
Lates from...
Do not raise a scene. Do not raise a scene.
I was going to say,
go ahead.
Lates reminds me of the way that the British, even though they invented English, will just kind of cut words out for no good reason. Like, it baffled me to no end as a child when you'd have, like, somehow we get British magazines here for no particularly good reason, so they'd have, what PC? And I'd be like, okay, I guess the point pretty quick, but that's a weird way to title a magazine.
I know. Blagged. What is blagged? Come on, you invented the language. To quote Dennis Farina from Snatch. Yeah. Anyway, Lates, which is a thing, and it looks like fun at the Natural History Museum as we approach the end of October, where nothing at all will happen apart from Halloween, and that's all we have to say about that. That's it. That's it for our news segment, everyone. After the very short break, it's time for our Series 11 commentaries again with the Witchfinders, with guest, our friend, Joy Piedmont. Welcome back. Yes, it's the commentary portion of the podcast, everyone. Series 11, Episode 8, The Witchfinders. And you're hearing this probably in the fall sometime. We're recording this during the Summer of Joy, where, unbeknownst to us when we hoodwinked her into being on this commentary series, Joy Piedmont, our guest, has been on literally every single Doctor Who podcast on Earth over the past 3 or 4 weeks. Isn't that right, Joy?
It's my plan for world domination, of course.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the crest, the wave, the publicity wave of all those podcasts has sort of died down. Your Verity appearance has sort of like come and gone, and all your other ones. But Reality Bomb lives on because we haven't talked to you since you became like the executive producer of Reality Bomb all those years ago. So how is producing a podcast going for you?
Well, it is going quite well. I am not the executive producer. Graham and I are co-producers. It's very flat team structure.
Very nice.
See what I did there?
I did.
And it's great. I did think back on how funny it is that the last time I was on this show, you guys teased me and were like, oh, just wait, you're going to be on a podcast soon. I was like, I don't think so. And then, of course, I had to eat my words shortly thereafter. And it's great. I love doing the show. It's so nice. It's really fun to talk to fans about Doctor Who, believe it or not.
No, I don't believe it, actually. But
sounds like some sort of a fiction.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And planning and producing, I imagined, is right up your alley too, and stuff like that.
Oh
right?
my God, I love it. I love it so much. The planning and all of the making the thing happen is just as much fun as the actual execution of the thing. And it's also really fun. What I like about doing the show is that we get to find new voices all the time. And so a lot of the quote unquote producing is, Graham and I talking about, who might be good for this particular segment. Like I did a piece on collecting Doctor Who tat, right? And, he and I were like, oh, okay, what about this person? What about this person? So like he often has an entirely different pool of people that he knows for me. And so I also reach out on Twitter all the time for guests. So it's really great. And I like meeting new people and talking to new people. So it's very fun. I love it.
And you do a great job at it too.
Thank you.
Might I say. And you do a great job on all podcasts, including all the ones during the Summer of Joy. And I'm sure you'll do a great one on this one as we commentate on the Witchfinders. Written by Joy Wilkinson. Look at that. Someone has your name. That means everyone on this podcast, apart from Warren, has someone who has their same first name and is written for Doctor Who relatively recently.
It's coming. Somehow.
It's coming. We got to find a name of a writer who is actually named Warren. I don't know who that is. Warren Brown, I think. Isn't that a guy who was on Luther? Maybe he's turning to writing. Perhaps.
How about Earl Warren? He wrote the Warren Report after all.
He did.
Yeah.
That's quite a piece of literature.
That is quite a piece of literature. All right, folks. I assume you have all your legally purchased North American Blu-ray copies, the only ones of consequence at this point, because that's the one that we've sourced this from, and your PAL versions will do no good here. Cue them up. Cue them up to the Witchfinders, Series 11, Episode 8, because we're going to press play in 3, 2, 1, and then play. Here we go. The Witchfinders in 3, 2, 1, play.
As somebody who hadn't gone back to Series 11 for the most part since it first went out, I've been looking forward to this one because I really loved this one the first time around.
Were any of you, I don't remember if you had talked about this, did any of you get early access to this one in the whole Amazon snafu?
No.
Oh, no.
That was in the States only, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
Our Amazon is a weak cousin to American Amazon.
I downloaded it early. And I watched it at like 2 a.m.
Monster, how dare
I know.
you?
I'm a terrible person.
Ruined the economy. You single-handedly made Jeff Bezos poor somehow.
Yeah.
I'm an evil person.
No, it was an enjoyable experience because this was the one that aired at Chicago TARDIS Weekend, and so and like Sage and a bunch of our other friends from the New York crew, so to speak, of which you are friends with many, Joy, were there, and we all watched it in the room together. It was just like there was just a lot of great energy in the room, especially when Alan Cumming came on screen.
I was very jealous of that. I love watching Doctor Who with friends.
Yeah, well, maybe you should have thought about that when you downloaded it and watched it at 2 a.m.
By myself under my covers.
Yes. Like a common pirate.
Regrets.
Alan Cumming, of course, was the first to spill beans about his appearance in the show.
Yes, and only, I think. I think the police got to him fairly quickly, the BBC police.
Yeah, all the other guest actors were pretty discreet. It was just him.
They threatened him with playing Beast again. Or not Beast, Nightcrawler.
He is a great Nightcrawler.
He was a great Nightcrawler. Could you imagine how much time he spent in makeup, though?
No. Yeah, I'm sure he can, though.
No.
A novelty beard in this thing is probably a complete...
No, he's got fake eyelashes on also.
Oh, true. But compared to all the crap he had to wear as Nightcrawler.
Yeah, probably a little easier.
Which is Bryan Singer's finest hour as a director, frankly, when he goes into the White House. And it's all downhill from there, personally and filmically.
God. Oh, goodness.
Anyway, here's the episode happening in front of us right now.
Yeah.
With I like how like they had already landed. Like we don't deal with the faffing about and the TARDIS and why are we going here. Like they've already landed. They're walking in very grimy 17th century England, which is good because that was one of my main complaints with Robot of Sherwood is that it looked all very pristine and clean and everything, and this looks like this seems like a place where they would dump.
This also looks really heavily graded as well.
Yes, it does.
The grays and
properly
blues,
graded.
so.
Yeah.
But also, it does rely on England's crap weather, and it really works in its favor.
Stephen, do you want to reinitiate your diatribe about the lack of period costume for the time team?
I wish they had period. This is the one episode, or I wish that come on. They should be wearing some period. I mean, they mentioned it. At least King James has a mention of it, but they need to be wearing some period costume. Exactly.
So, would you have liked there to be a scene where the doctor says, "Oh, go fetch some clothes from the wardrobe or whatever," or would you like them to just come out in the period clothes because they knew they were going there?
Yeah, since they already know they were visiting. Where were they visiting? Somewhere.
They wanted to see the coronation, which is strange, right? That the doctor would want to take them there, given her history. But yeah, they intended to go to this time period.
Right. Then they should have dressed for it.
The bigger question is, what do they do with this giant novelty hand when they're not throwing people on lakes?
What did you call it? A novelty hand?
Yeah. Is it just a tree, or is it? It looks like a big hand.
It's tree branches.
Oh, okay. It looked like a hand.
Also, this is a very solemn moment right now, and that was beautiful dialogue between the granny and Willa.
And now she's dead, Warren.
Yep.
Well, it's my
by
fault.
A giant hand.
And needless, I'm sure that was not Jodie Whittaker doing her own swimming there.
This moment really bothered me, and still, not as much now, but in the context of the season, I remember feeling just a twinge of annoyance because it's, the third historical. Previously, we've seen the doctor visit Rosa and then partition India. And in both instances, she refuses to get involved. And here, like at the very beginning of the story, she's like, oh, we can't get involved. We're not going to do anything. And then she gets involved. And it felt to me a little bit like, oh, okay, with the brown people, let's not help them and let's not interfere and we'll stick to the thing. But this white lady's in trouble. Of course I have to save her. And I know all the reasons why she interferes in this moment and like the story reasons. It just felt like a weird moment coming in the sequence of the season. It felt like a little bit of a misstep. Like someone should have rearranged it or something. I don't know.
I mean, the partition India and Rosa Parks aspects were a little more fixed, important. I don't know how to best describe it.
Fixed moments in time, whereas this quite clearly they sort of say that with this witch is never heard or mentioned of. So obviously that means fair game.
There's less damage to the time stream in interfering here than
that is some nice backpedaling you're doing, boys.
Yeah.
No,
I do see your point, though, Joy.
There are legitimate reasons for it in the story. But if I was Chris Chibnall, I would have rearranged the order that these episodes aired.
Just to make 3 historicals in a row anyway.
What was that?
So I was saying, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just having 3 historicals in a row anyway is kind of weird and awkward.
Well, it's not in a row, but, they could have thrown this one. I mean, just throwing episodes around willy-nilly. I imagine Rosa was quite the showcase for them, so they wanted that as sort of a early season hook, I guess. But they could have easily put Punjab and this, swapped these two. I mean, it's easy to schedule and record a TV show. I mean, come on.
Listen to us. We're fans. We know what we're doing.
Yeah. Just pop it in anywhere.
I love the costumes in this. I mean, I know, Stephen, you lamented the fact that our team is not in period dress, but they are really beautiful. I think they just did such a good job of the look of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Someone reminds me of Kellyanne Conway.
If there's anything that Britons do well, it's recreating their own history. Bilehurst Crag.
It's their bread and butter.
It is.
Well, they have it lying around everywhere, too.
Yeah, it's just kicking around.
No, I mean, you can just go to a castle and film it. You can't really do that here.
No, we don't have as many castles here.
Well, none. So there's that, yeah.
Yeah.
I love when they break up.
You do. I was going to say, I'm in two minds about, let's the 3 of us go here. Yaz, go alone.
I know. It seems a little bit like, oh, do you really want to do that? But sometimes within the context of the story, I'm just like, okay, we're just going to assume that she's going to be safe.
And it looks like dusk, and when there wasn't electricity, you did not go out at night because you would get stabbed, basically. Yeah. No, that's for real. That's what people did.
I watched a recent documentary about the Dutch Golden Age, about how they kind of like came up with these big candle wicks and lampposts and stuff, and it like cut crime in Amsterdam by like 1 billion% or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Apparently, statisticians back then were very good. 1 billion%. What's a billion? I
1
don't know.
Siobhan Finneran is so good in this episode. I was just delighted to see that she had been cast because I adored her on Downton Abbey. And she is terrific in this. God, it's a really great performance.
I only watched Doctor Who and the Sandbaggers, so I didn't notice any of the...
Only those two shows.
only those two shows. Here's the
think he's
moment.
joking.
Here we go.
I love
Dutch
the
angle
entry and the camera angle and everything.
I know. Oh, look at him.
I'm impressed by how, like, just effortlessly that mask came off. Like, it detaches on the one side. I almost thought it was like a CG mask there for a second. It came off a little too peripherally. But then again, it is Ellen Cumming.
I'd be scared the beard would go with it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So you're a theater person. Is he a big deal in New York theater? I would assume he is.
He is a very big deal. In fact, I am very sad that I have never seen him do cabaret, which was kind of the thing that I think most people in the New York theater world have seen him in. But I did see him do Three Penny Opera in a production that had like Jim Dale in it also, which was really great. He's fantastic. He's amazing on stage. I would be remiss if I did not mention there was a moment that passed earlier when the doctor does her whole little, oh, by the way, there's a twist in the sequel. I am not equipped to talk about this, but there is a very good episode of the Moment podcast that is hosted by Tom Dickinson, where his guest Rachel T talks about that moment from a Jewish perspective, and how it is not necessarily a great moment if you're looking at that dialogue from the perspective of somebody who is Jewish. So I encourage people to seek that out because it's really great and something that I totally missed on the first watching of this, because this episode is really, really steeped in obviously Christianity and suspicion of witches and all of that. And so I think it is really easy to miss the way that the Old Testament is kind of shoved aside as like backwards and lesser than. So it's a great episode. People should go check it out.
You were on an episode of The Moment, weren't you, Joy?
I was.
Was it during the Summer of Joy, I believe? I think it was.
I was on season 1 talking about my own moment, and I did season 2 where I interviewed Tom about his.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah. World domination.
Yeah.
Because I'm Satan.
I do love how the king is instantly into God, I can't remember his name now. Forgot Tolson Cole. Why can't I remember your name?
Did Alan Cumming play the Joel Grey part in Cabaret? Is that
he did. He was the MC.
I can see that. Cabaret, which won a ton of Oscars in 1972, except for the big one, which is Best Picture, which went to The Godfather.
Many a film
right?
critic
I didn't realize that was
that.
the same year.
Cabaret won a lot of Oscars, yeah. But who talks about Cabaret? It doesn't even exist anymore. They wiped it. It's gone.
They did nothing of the
This
sort.
mud thing is so gross.
It is got it like.
I do like how they scatter the mud on the camera lens, though.
Mm-hmm.
As an effect, do they have to throw because a lot of that is CG, right? Like the moving tentacle. So how would they achieve that? You think?
What, the mud? Oh, that's CG too. It's just
oh, really?
It's just painting
really
painting digitally on the lens.
They could have also splattered some mud. Sometimes the digital effects aren't the ones we know. I noticed that a lot of digital effects this year, perhaps it's because of a new effects company, DNEG, doing it. It didn't seem as effective, perhaps because I've become used to looking for effects from the mill or milk.
I mean, you could do it either way, but those lenses are expensive. I wouldn't want to, or I guess you could put like plexiglass or something in front of them.
Put a glass up, yeah.
But you could also just do it with CG, and it's about as easy, honestly.
See, why does it take 3 people to look through one room or one house? But
and really, only the doctor is looking
because they need to talk about stuff.
Ryan's
That's
doing
why.
nothing.
Well,
Graham and Ryan are doing nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he did find something. Okay, never mind. I take it back.
That's it, though. He finds the axe to brandish, basically. Yaz is a gatherer of information and talks to other characters on the show, but we find out so little about herself. This is my overall impression of her in the first season.
She's
I
Basil
think that's
Exposition.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's really good in this episode, though, and I think it's interesting that, in my opinion, I think that the 2 episodes where Yaz actually really stands out is this one, where she gets a little bit of backstory, and is really active in the investigation of, the weekly mystery, and in Rosa, where she gets to talk a little bit about her backstory, and has moments where it is very particular to her. The 2 episodes in this season written by women. Coincidence? Who can say?
A very good point. You're making good points, Joe. I think you might go far in this podcasting business. This lark.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You'll make a
That's very nice of
podcasting
you.
fortune. Whatever that
I
might
can't
be.
tell if you're being genuine right there.
No, actually, it is very nice to hear. I like
okay.
compliments. Compliments are nice.
Okay.
Oh, the hat.
The hat.
Yep.
This is great.
I didn't see any of these hats at Gallifrey 1 following the series, and I feel like we should have.
Well, here's your chance for next year.
Well, that's true.
Wonder if
It's got to
they're
be easy to
expensive.
make, right? No, you could probably
you know
make
what?
that.
I wonder about that because hats can be. I mean, you can go to a milliner for a particular reason, right? Because they're probably not that easy to make, I would assume.
Oh. Yeah,
Although to make a
perhaps.
costume one might be a different story. I don't know nothing about costumes. I am talking out of my butt completely here.
Go for it. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm done.
Toast and Cole's reactions are just always so brilliant. He uses his face so well. He's so expressive. And he's just delightful in his interactions with Alan Cumming here.
He's doing some very good. The what nows?
So how did you feel? I've asked, I think, everyone this question. How did you feel when it was announced? Because it seems so long ago that Jodie Whittaker was announced as Doctor Who. But the moment that it happened, July 16th, 2017. Was it 2017? It was 2017.
It was 2017.
Yeah.
I was in Korea. And
Really?
so,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, I was 12 hours, excuse me. I was 12 hours ahead of everybody. So I guess that
So you
announcement.
found out 12 hours before us? What? No.
That's not how time
It was
works.
like the middle of the day for you all, right?
It was.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was
it
like dead of night, and it was very late, and I was up. I mean, I'll try and keep this short because this episode's just bomb. But I cried. I was really upset initially, and not because I didn't want a woman doctor, but I felt like I was really disappointed that the show decided that the step it was going to take was a step in the direction of having another white doctor. I was really happy that a woman was cast in the role, but I also felt like I personally didn't need a female doctor. Like, I'm happy with Jodie, and I think she is amazing. Mm-hmm. But I also wasn't clamoring for the doctor to be a woman because I felt like there have been so many amazing women on the show. And yet there have been so few people of color. And so it was actually like a huge disappointment to me. And then compounding that was everybody else's elation. So, and I was halfway across the world, so I felt even more isolated from everybody. It was kind of actually not a great moment for me.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
Glad
But
you
I
asked that.
eventually became excited about
Okay.
her. And then I cried when I saw her on screen for the first time. I watched her debut episode at New York Comic Con when they had everybody in the Hulu Center or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started to like weep.
I think it was the regeneration scene at the end of Twice Upon a Time was like, oh, this is glorious. Like when she discovers herself for the, we see her when she sees herself basically at the end of that scene when she looks at her reflection. I thought that was quite good.
What a great name too. The language in this is so great. Like Becca Savage.
Becca Savage.
Becca Savage. Willa. Ugh, I love it. So many great names. I think Joy Wilkinson is so good with language. Her dialogue here is really great. Do you guys feel that way, or is that just me like waxing poetic?
It's good.
No,
It's very tough to do period talk properly without it sounding too arch, and she pulls it off.
I think this one was written relatively quickly, from what I understand. I mean, this is the problem right now with the Chibnall era, is that everything's under lock and key. We haven't found out much behind the scenes information apart from rumors and stuff. But I recall that this one came together somewhat quickly, not as a last second or anything like that, but it doesn't show. It doesn't show at all. I think Joy Wilkinson's a natural at this. Maybe it'll have been announced that she's writing for Series 12 by this point, by the time this thing comes out. But at the time, we don't know for sure. We don't know anything for sure. Izzy Flint's another name. Look at that.
Oh, such good
That's like
names.
a 1970s glam rocker. Like, I would totally be in a band with Izzy Flint.
Izzy Flint.
Maybe Izzy Flint is the band. Maybe Izzy from Flint, Michigan, perhaps.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
So I don't think I looked at this initially, but apparently this episode is set in 1612. And 1611 is when the King James version of the Bible came out. So this is just after that, basically.
So he's fresh off the publication of his latest hit.
Still on his book tour, basically.
Yeah, autographing hither and yon.
Yeah, Barnes and Nobles all over the English
annoyingly
countryside.
self-promoting himself on Twitter. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Actually, W.H. Smith would be in the England. In the England. You got it. I said it. The England.
Oh, goodness.
There are hardly any male roles in this episode at all, apart from
Look
Alan
at these
Cumming.
three women talking to each other about solving the mystery.
What a novel
so
concept.
great.
Yeah.
I love this episode so much.
Well, that's why you chose it. This was your number one, I think, out of all the because we passed the hat around. Yeah,
it was. It is for sure my favorite of the season for many reasons, because I think the dialogue is so great, the story is really compelling, the performances obviously are really strong. I mean, I think the guest cast is probably the two best guest actors of the entire year, and so there's just so much good stuff in it.
Alan Cumming is like, he's a big name guy. He's almost kind of like stunt casting, but he just owns this role. Like, this is the perfect marriage between actor and role, I find.
Well, yeah, and like how he's being framed by Sally Abrahamian is like camera's down, off to the side. It just it just pulls your attention like nothing else would.
Yeah,
like a
and
standard,
it really is.
A standard back and forth wouldn't do it this effect.
He's doing such a good job of being incredibly over the top and arch.
Yep.
And yet when he's going through that speech about all of these terrible things that have happened to him, you really feel for him. There's a ton of pathos in there. And yet he's still being wildly over the top and camp.
And adorable. That little "let's go."
How much of that is Alan Cumming though? You're just going, oh, it's Alan Cumming, so it's camp, so you just accept it. Whereas somebody else, you wouldn't.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's a charm to it. I think that not everybody could pull that off.
Yeah, I think there are very few actors that you just let's go with it. Like if you hire him to be him, that sort of over the top kind of thing. Alan Cumming, Tim Curry, perhaps.
Yeah. There's a couple other ones.
Yeah, I'm sure that we're not thinking about right now.
I
mean, honestly, the only time I've seen Alan Cumming in Josie and the Pussycats, and I've seen him. I never watched the show, but Erica did. The Good Wife, The Good Fight. Whichever
I think
one
he's on
he was
both
in.
of them.
Maybe
I don't
he's
watch
in
those
both of them.
shows.
No, but he was like very much sort of like buttoned down American lawyer. So to see the real Alan Cumming.
That seems like a waste of Alan Cumming, frankly.
Yeah.
Oh, zombies. I'm so excited.
Are you a zombieist?
Ish. I mean, I like zombie movies. I've seen many a zombie movie. And in fact, when this moment happened, the first time I was watching it, it was really late at night. I was all by myself, and I just felt a cold chill down my spine. And it was so exciting because I love it when Doctor Who's scary.
It is nice, isn't it? Scary Doctor Who. It's not often that it scared me. I can count on, maybe just because I'm not susceptible to scary things. Jump scares mostly. But that is terrifying. It
is. It's really scary. And this woman's face is so perfect for this makeup. There is something about, her eyes being all blacked out like that changes her face and yet makes it, I don't know, even it just like enhances a lot of the features that she already has.
Ew, yeah,
Very good makeup.
Eyes are the difference in making people looking creepy.
Oh, what a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did they shoot everything? Like, they must have shot this in like winter-ish, I think, because just where the sun is positioned for most of these shots.
It looks wintry, yeah.
You can see their breath a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, that looks like a
you can see
noonday in
that
Edmonton
too,
to
but
me.
yeah.
I tell you,
It's February 2018. It says
February 20. There it is.
That would have been cold. So creepy. I love it.
They shot this in February. Wow. I'm trying to think of what the... I must have shot this at the same block as, Saranga Conundrum, I think, then? That's the other one that Sally Abrahamian directed, I think. These are important things, Joy.
I have no... I just don't have the brain to remember credits. I try... But I really always have to write stuff down for myself.
No, that's fun. No, I mean, I'm still disappointed to this day that they don't have proper production codes on new series episodes.
How sad.
I know. Like, just assign something. Like, call it, I don't know, 9K or something. I mean, it's just that easy, people. I mean...
You could just do it yourself.
But I don't, there's probably still episode guides floating around that give the TV movie 8A as a production code. So it didn't have that production code.
It is wrong.
You can't just make them up for crying out. I mean, there's still debate as to what the production code for Mission to the Unknown is. Is it D/C? Is it, or DC? Is it T/M?
it's T/A.
Yes, exactly. It's got to be T/A. It's made the same production block as the Galaxy 4T. It should be just T, to be honest. But
that's
what you're missing, Joy. This is what you're missing when you're not doing these.
Else leading up to ZZZ.
Yeah. Can you do a segment on Reality Bomb about production codes, please?
I am making a note.
Thank you.
Called
I don't
The Most
necessarily
Pitiful.
want to be on it. I just want to point out where all your errors after the fact, as my right as a fan.
So
Obviously.
Yeah.
this was shot alongside Arachnids in the UK, of course, but being the same director. So it was the sixth one filmed, so this would be production code 11.6. How's that, Stephen?
It's awful.
That makes a lot of sense that it was in the middle because the cast here is really vibing well. So they've already had a lot of time together, and I think that explains why. Because there's so much, so many scenes in this where there's a lot of quick dialogue, and a lot of times where they have to be working together so closely and tightly that it's works so beautifully.
Yeah.
So that explains a lot.
It's not you're relying less on editing to create a pace to it. The actors have sort of learned their idiosyncrasies and various performance tics, and so they just sort of mesh a lot better later on. I find that Jodie is actually really in control of the role here too. There's a moment here I just love the way when she shows the psychic paper very angrily, and then she sort of looks back. I just love the way she looked back at the psychic paper at the time. I thought that was really cool.
The classic line, if I was a bloke, I could just get on with my job. I think that's just a line of this season. I'm so glad. So glad it's in there.
I'm glad that they didn't labor the point that, the doctor's a woman. Let's put her on, in all situations where she's being backburnered because she's a woman or something like that. But I do like that we finally do actually get to see what happens when she is basically her influence is diminished by perhaps by herself, because she thought she said Witchfinder General, but it says Witchfinder Assistant when she shows the psychic paper to King James.
Right, because it shows him the I guess the lie that he'll most easily accept, and he would never accept her as the general. And it's great because I think that the conflict here, I mean, there's a lot of layers of things that are going on, right? And, now she's about to get arrested as a witch. This would not happen to a male doctor. Like, you can't do this story with any other previous doctor. It doesn't work in the same way. Like, yes, men were burned as witches, but for this particular story, you really need a female doctor. And it is just an example of why having, a diverse cast, having a woman in the role, hopefully maybe one day a person of color, a woman of color, someone who is disabled, like any other kind of different person, it opens up story opportunities, things that you really could not do with any other doctor. And you get this brilliant work.
Also, woman director, woman writer.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I liked about Demons in the Punjab, where she's with all the other women before the wedding, and you could not do that before. Like, it just opened something up you didn't have.
This scene is just terrific.
This is a terrific scene. I've missed the, because of the large TARDIS team, we don't get as many Doctor Solo scenes. And this is the traditional, so to speak, Doctor being interrogated. Captive anyway. Seen it. We haven't seen Jodie's Doctor been held captive that much, and I do feel it's kind of a trope in Doctor Who that perhaps is even more important than having the Daleks in there. Having, being obviously sort of on the back foot, being the one not in control of the situation, but getting all the information out. And actually, at the end of the scene, she is kind of in control before King James turns and has her dong. Like, boom, just as you hide behind Doctor. I think, okay, touche.
Yeah. And it's that classic kind of scene where you think, oh, the Doctor's going to, talk her way out of this.
Yeah.
And you think that she has King James, because the look on his face seems like he really wants to buy into everything that she's saying. She almost hasn't, but then there's a twist.
I just love the way he spits out that Latin phrase.
I know.
Just every little thing.
Everything. Every single line reading is just perfection from him. Love the little curls in his hair.
Yeah.
Everything.
Has he ever won an Academy Award? Because why the hell not if he hasn't?
No, he never has.
That's ridiculous. What about an Emmy? He's got to have a Tony or two.
Maybe an Emmy. I don't know. Yeah.
I bet he's got a BAFTA.
What?
I can just look this up instead of throwing award names out.
Kudos to Andy Pryor for casting once again. I think he does a great job at casting. But I wonder what the process was to get Chris Knopf, to get Alan Cumming, to both of which were in The Good Fight, or The Good Wife.
One of those.
To one of the ones. The lawyer one in New York and stuff. One of the two shows ever set in a law firm in New York.
Why, that sounds as rare as a Doctor TV show.
Yeah.
And he has won a Tony for Cabaret, actually.
Yes, he has.
Oh, he did. Look at that.
And skimming down the list, that's the only big one. He was nominated for an Emmy in The Good Wife. Mm-hmm. Did not win.
His day will come.
Mm-hmm. Are you telling me the Independent Spirit Award isn't a big deal, Chris? Because I'm offended.
Now, I have my volume down very low for recording purposes, obviously, but I really think that the other standout thing in this episode is the score. One thing I really loved about this season was Sega Nakanola's work, because he does such a good job of taking every single story and creating a sound for each one, and yet having his own Doctor Who sound. God, I'm just so in love with his work.
I love Murray Gold's bombast, but I like that Sega Nakanola doesn't do bombast at all.
Mm-hmm. There's a certain minimalist approach.
It just kind of fits. Well, even the big stuff isn't like
Resolution kind of has some big guitar riffs,
that's
right?
True,
yeah.
And there's some big stuff in other ones too, but it's just with Murray Gold, it really calls attention to itself. And sometimes that's great, and sometimes it ain't. So
the choir voices.
Yeah. Yeah, I sense that Murray Gold's music for historicals would often perhaps be a little jauntier than I would want. but there's no real jauntiness to this score, which I like.
Even when he kind of has a little bit of a lilt, like on King James's entrance, there's, the light little strings that kind of evokes, like dance music of the time, but there's something not quite right about it. And then it goes into, some minor key later on. The strings are just so well used.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting how the, I don't know if the music budget or just the music complexity, I think, grows as the season goes along. It's very sort of stark in the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then we get the Demons of the Punjab with all the Indian and Pakistani instruments in there, and of course the singer, and then, as you say, we had a big rock band essentially, and resolution at the end.
It all really works though.
Mm-hmm.
Although we've only had a year's worth. When we had Murray Goldfrey, you're like, this guy's the best. He's never going to repeat himself, and Akinola may repeat himself at some point. He hasn't had a chance to yet, so.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be surprised if he did.
Yeah, his music isn't quite the same. That is a novelty hand, damn it, and I won't hear any different.
I cannot believe that you are calling that a hand.
What's kind of a hand?
Warren.
It's like a prop
Also, she's
left over
sitting
from
on it. Like,
yeah, like
why would you call it a hand?
Good point.
it's not a dunk tank for it kind of is a dunk tank, but it's not a dunk tank.
Very evil dunk tank.
Yeah,
there's room for both of us to be right here.
Ducking.
Mm-hmm. Ducking. Yeah, they say ducking. I want to say dunk. I never say ducking. The only,
Your
I
iPhone's auto-corrected.
I actually told it to autocorrect to what I really want to say.
I love Graham's commitment to the hat.
And no one comments on it. It goes on his head, and they never speak of it again.
Yeah.
I mean, the hat comes back in terms of like, passing it off later on, but like they're not making jokes about it. It is just on his head. I love the commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Background actors are really committed.
Watching background actors is one of my favorite things. It's best in studio bound Doctor Who,
yes,
because there's we don't get the editing or the close-ups. Like basically sometimes if they're on a big long shot and there's like 18 extras in the background, I'm looking at those people right there.
Which Peladon is it that has the miners acting up behind
Monster.
With terrible wigs? It's just the worst background actors.
I mean, there's nothing better than that one person who's like trying to capture their moment of glory.
Yep. and just there's a guy, there used to be a guy in Vancouver who would do this, like film tons of like Air Bud and that kind of movie, and they have any crowd scene, he would just go over the top, and it became a thing to spot him. I don't think he does it anymore, but
I applaud that man.
He got on Letterman, I think, so this is a while back.
Oh God, she's getting really distressed here.
The mascara she's not wearing is running.
Yeah,
I know, what a creepy idea, right? Like, just your eyes start crying mud. Ugh, gross.
giant hand. Giant.
It doesn't even look like a hand, Warren.
Maybe
Kinda
it's a
does.
Sontaran hand.
Yeah, you guys are handis.
There's only 3 fingers.
So, could be a Mickey Mouse
Sontaran
hand.
hand.
You don't know. Also, let's call attention to the King's lovely collars. Look at those things.
I know.
Yeah.
Very wet weekend with Houdini.
All right, that's enough.
Yeah, this doctor's a name dropper. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why there's that book coming out about the names that she drops.
Well, I mean,
Is
aren't
there
all the new
really?
Doctors name
Yeah.
droppers? Actually, all the Doctors are name droppers.
They are, yeah.
4 was
She's
pretty bad for it.
egregiously, though.
This is a running
Yeah, but
gag.
Smith was worse, I think.
Yeah.
No, Tom Baker was pretty bad.
He had more
Baker's
time to
Doctor.
do it, too, though.
True.
He's got the axe now. So
Colin
right.
Baker's Doctor, for that matter, was pretty bad.
John Pertwee's Doctor would just sort of name drop all the dictators that he hung out with, like Mao Zedong and Napoleon. But
Mao Zedong, who was alive at the time. And
Yeah,
barely.
that's
but
true.
yeah.
He
was.
was granted special dispensation to use Mao Zedong's name in a certain
yeah,
way.
that's true. Next on Radio Free Skaro, our Mind of Evil commentary.
With Tim Coon.
The head makeup that the zombies wear, for some reason, reminds me of the head makeup from the zombies in Modern Undead. I don't know why, but it does.
Because it's just lumpy.
Reminds me of Fenric. The Hemorrhoids.
It is very Fenric looking.
Yeah.
The gray.
Yeah, because like,
It's good
the
makeup.
Hemorrhoids
I like
are all
it.
like covered in like pustules and whatnot. And the zombies here aren't, but But yeah, the coloration.
And their movement too, the way they kind of
That's
like
a cool
slowly
shot.
kind of like slither towards everybody.
Oh yeah, it's definitely CG.
That is that is CG, but the mud splashing about
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Well, it could be. Who knows?
So basically, a NIMBY here is the cause of all this.
This is basically Vancouver.
Yeah.
Well, what's so great about it is that, I think another writer would have taken a perfectly innocent woman, right, a totally normal woman, and somehow wrapped her up in this whole story, and she's corrupted by the evil alien. This woman's not a nice person.
Nope.
No.
She wants to cut down a really old, beautiful tree because it's spoiling her view. I mean, like, isn't the tree the view? I truly do not understand it. And so it's not that she deserves what's happening to her, but I like that there is a wrinkle in this that, like, she's not even a good person to start with.
She's the real witch.
But it's kind of cool that she's not a good person to start with, and you could still sort of sympathize with her a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, oh, God, Siobhan Finneran here. I mean, like, she is pleading for her life, and yet she still really believes that there are witches, and, oh, God, what a complex role, because she has to play so many different things at once.
I've never seen Downton Abbey. She's pretty good in this.
She's very good. Oh, my God. She plays, like, an evil maid. It's very, very great.
That's
She's
some
only
good
in, like,
CG.
2 seasons or something. Like, she bounced real quick out of that show.
I gotta tell you, if I saw that, I'd be like, yeah, Satan sounds about right.
I do not like the way that the face moves. I think it's a misstep.
It's reminiscent of Knock Knock.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks like CG instead of
Wood-
just
Wood Daughter
makeup.
from
Maybe I'm
Knock
wrong,
Knock.
but
Yeah. That is weird. The face does move, doesn't it? At least it doesn't squelch. At least there isn't like sound effects for because
That would be bad.
I wonder if that's straight up makeup. It probably is straight up makeup. The lip sync's too good.
The pulsating is CG.
Yeah, the pulsating CG.
Is it?
The makeup's
Because back in the day,
Oh,
you
for
just do
sure.
like little air pockets.
the makeup's real. I'm sure that's been CG'd. It doesn't look like a prep.
Yeah, it could be a combo of the two as well.
Yeah. Enhanced.
I wish it wasn't moving. I think it's distracting.
I wonder if that was like a after the fact thinking, oh, it just kind of looks dull. Let's have it move or something.
Or maybe they thought, like what Chris said, it looks a lot like the makeup from Knock Knock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they were trying to distinguish it.
Borax.
Well, they're definitely distinguishing her from the rest.
I don't care for the Morax.
No.
I kept thinking she was saying the Lorax, and I was getting the Dr. Seuss vibes.
A few people thought that I think at the time.
A
Yeah.
terror of Seussian proportions.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, put the hat back on. There you go.
Got to get the
Come
hat.
on, the hat is important.
I love that line. The Milk Wars of Keston 5. What a great line. No
Holmesian
explanation
kind
after
of
that. Yeah, world building
reference.
there, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep. This ducking stool.
The tree that isn't a tree. This is all great. I love this. There is something about the Morax as aliens that I think is a little half-baked, which is disappointing because I think the rest of the episode is so strong. But the whole premise around them is really interesting. I love the idea of like a prison on Earth. Although, shouldn't we have gotten a say in this? Seems
I don't know. Look at
presumptuous.
who's in charge here. I wouldn't ask them any questions. I just do it.
Exactly. Once again, NIMBY. You know what I mean? Whatever. You don't get a say. We put the prison here. It's got to go somewhere. We got to build bypasses, I believe is.
I mean, really, this is just showing the dangers of having, prisons and dangerous criminals in your midst. I don't think that is what this episode is.
That's-
meaning
And that's
to
how we
say.
what it
created
is.
Australia.
Yes. Bury your criminals as if they were a landfill.
That will never
Sincerely,
bite you in the
Doctor
butt.
Who. Yeah. This does feel like this episode's like about 50 minutes long, 49 minutes, whatever. This feels like this is where the extra 10 minutes are. This last bit here, because it feels like it would just wrap up at the very end. But then all of a sudden we get this slightly weird kind of like, not enough time to sort of develop this part of the story. She looks good in the hat. I think she should wear the hat all the time. Look at that hat.
It's majestic. Yeah, I think you're right, Stephen. It's almost like it should have been either shorter or a two-parter. Expand the episode, expand all this stuff with the Morax out so that is an episode 2, or simplify it or do something different. I almost wish that this was just a straight up historical, a true pure historical where the only science fiction is the time travel. But I mean, I totally accept that we're really not going to get anything like that again. But this just seems
it seems weird, doesn't it?
Great.
This doesn't seem to flow with the rest of the story.
Yeah, thematically, I think it works just because the Morax are so hateful, and their whole thing is to spread hate, which is really consistent with the idea of the witch trials and witch hunts in general. But I don't know. I feel like it could have been done a little better.
Mm-hmm. Don't know what though, because we are Doctor Who fans. We don't know what could have been better, but we know that it could have been better.
But we're pretty convinced of it, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I also find that my least favorite kind of criticism is the criticism where somebody speaks at length about all the things that the episode should have done, because I think it is incredibly arrogant and not actually engaging with the material that you're looking at. And so I feel like it's enough to just say this doesn't quite work for me, and I feel like something else should have happened here, or maybe they could have restructured. But I don't love when people are like, well, actually the thing they really should have done is blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, you go work for Doctor Who then.
Yeah.
Yes. Given your extensive TV experience, guy on Tumblr, you tell me.
It's why I like that, why we kind of look at the show a lot from the production side of things, because it's not like, the script turned in as written is the one that was made word for word. Changes happen, compromises are made.
Oh, for sure.
Re-edits are done. It's just fascinating to see, once you actually see the final picture, what has gone on to sort of make that. There might have been some shots that were shot 6 months after the fact because we need a cover shot for this little thing here. Well, now that we've taken that out, we need to do something else with this, which means we have to drop it. It's a crap.
It rained, so we rewrote this thing. There's any number of reasons why. Somebody was on strike, so we couldn't do this.
Yeah.
That's why I like listening to you guys, because you know all that stuff, and you talk about it, and it's stuff that I don't know, and so I learn it from you guys.
Well, it's decades of obsession.
It's easier to be objective, I think, about a show or movie once you realize the struggles that happened to sort of make it happen. I mean, if there was a perfect movie show and it just ended up being crap, then there's someone obviously your vision of this was terrible. And
it's a miracle a movie gets made, let alone that it gets made well.
Yeah,
or the final product is good.
That was a great shot.
That is good. Yeah,
it's a very Doctor moment, right? The face.
Yeah, I like it. I like when she gets angry.
Oh yeah. I feel like we needed more of that this season.
Yeah.
She was so good at it, and yet we got so little of it.
I feel like they almost while Peter Capaldi's Doctor was angry a lot, perhaps, especially in that first season, let's, go completely against type. Peter Davison was different from Tom Baker. I get that. But I do miss them.
I mean, come second season and third season, she'll, I think all the actors get more input as they go. And so I think that'll happen with her too. So we'll see what she wants to get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
I am very curious to see what her hair looks like.
Yes.
And the reason why is because every Doctor's hair evolves. And, sometimes it just gets bigger. See Tom Baker, John Pertwee, Peter Capaldi.
Yep.
Or sometimes it just gets slightly more product. David Tennant, Matt Smith.
Right.
So we'll see. I don't know. I would love it if they dyed her hair. Be amazing.
I love how unreservedly thirsty he is for Ryan.
Oh,
he's just,
yeah.
He's just
there's
no ifs,
can
ands,
you
or buts
blame
here.
him?
Yeah. And he looks, I do like that Ryan gives him his dignity,
it's so sweet.
Yeah. And also the king goes, yeah, okay, cool. He's not a jerk about it.
Yeah. Ryan's such a good boy. I adore him. Look at him.
Not to rain on the parade, but I do think that the couple of pictures I've seen, certainly one of the Dune with a mohawk, great line, Tarantino. It looks like Jodie's hair is very similar.
I know.
This series 12, I know.
It's fine.
It should be long. It should be down to her waist.
It just needs like a slightly different look just for me to feel like it's consistent with, the rest of Doctor Who.
She needs a faux hawk. That's what she needs. No, like the half, the shaved on the one side and on the other side.
His face, so great.
Very John Nathan Turner approach to Doctor costumes, I think.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. Where's our next time?
It's kind of come
on.
They moved him at the end because
goodness.
people like you would complain that they were at the beginning.
I love these back to basics credits, the time tunnel look.
Yeah.
It's really great. Kind of looks like a lava lamp, actually.
Vancouver's own Ben Pickles.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that the credits are legible, like they don't fly by.
Yeah.
You can actually.
Well, it
follow
depends.
them.
If you're watching on space, they probably just zip off in a corner when
probably,
they show some
yeah.
crap preview.
Here we are. Oh, yeah, this one.
Yep.
Oh, I don't like this one. Never mind. Screw you next time.
Oh.
I feel like my feelings on this keep evolving. I gotta rewatch it to truly know. I feel like I've read so many interesting takes on it from different people. I've talked to a lot of people who really love it. So I don't know, man.
Just didn't do it for me. But I'll watch it again. So whatever.
Yeah,
We'll find out.
We'll have to. Well, we'll be watching it next week, in fact, as a commentary on this very podcast as we rapidly get to the end of our Series 11 commentaries. But thanks for joining us for this one, Joy. It was great to have you on the show once again, watching an episode that you liked. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was really great.
Where on the internet can people find your work/works? Because there might be podcasts that we have yet to know about that will occur by the time this actually goes out.
That is true. So people can follow just me at Inquiring Joy. That's on Twitter. And on the podcasting front, people can follow Reality Bomb at Reality Bomb PC. And I have a Third Doctor podcast with your co-host, Stephen, because everybody just podcasts with everybody.
It's called Podsest.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how it works, folks. And it is called 5 Years Rapid, and you can follow that at 5 Years Rapid.
That's a very clever title. I like that.
Very clever.
All credit to Kyle because he is a words dude.
He's a
word guy,
he's a witty man. Yeah.
Good at using words.
He's good at using the words.
He is indeed. Thanks again, Joy. That's it then for this episode. Next week, as you saw the Next Time trailer, it takes you away on this here podcast called Radio Free Skaro, where we do commentaries of Series 11. So stick around for that. Until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.